Last week we announced that we're building a tower Airbnb in one of our favorite places on earth. But it may surprise you to know that we originally wanted to build an A-frame. A-frame architecture became prominent in the post-World War II era of the 1950s when people were yearning for affordable vacation homes.
This mass production technique is doing for the American home what Henry Ford did for the American automobile.
The A-frame offered a simple, cost-effective solution, capturing the hearts of those seeking a modern and stylish getaway. Plans, newspaper ads, and more throughout the time period sold the A-frame dream to those looking for a beautiful yet unique and DIY-able build. While the popularity of A-frames waned in the decades following, they have experienced a resurgence in recent years. Today we're going to show you the A-frame we nearly built, what you should know if you're thinking about building an A-frame, and the main reason that we are no longer building it. Is that a mosquito or a fly?
It's a mosquito. Ouch.
Motherfudger.
You get it?
I don't know.
So one of the primary reasons why we didn't end up building the A-frame was ultimately because of the cost. We actually originally we were pretty set on an A-frame being what our build was. We worked with 2 different architects to get exactly the design that we wanted for our A-frame, both of which we kind of went the budget route for. It was very much we told them what we wanted and they drew up exactly what we wanted, not too much like consultation with a builder, because at that point we didn't know who our builder was going to be yet. So once we had our final plans, we had the build quoted out from 3 different builders. And originally going into building an A-frame, we were fairly naive. We thought that an A-frame was a somewhat efficient build and was going to be on the more affordable side of things. Keep in mind that this is the midst of COVID when prices of everything went through the roof, and we are in northern Michigan where the supply of builders is not as significant as downstate or potentially other, metropolitan areas. It's a lot more rural up here.
Hey, how'd that dog get out?
Bo?
Yeah.
He's been out.
Oh. Where the heck is he going?
I don't know.
Up until October of last year, our entire goal was to build an A-frame. We ultimately had construction drawings created, approved and stamped by an engineer due to the height of the structure, renderings made, and bid quoted with multiple different builders. One of the features we liked was the elevated look on the front gable wall. However, this added substantial cost due to the amount of insulation needed under the floor to keep the plumbing from freezing as well as support the structure. What you'll read online often is that A-frames are efficient, easy to build structures that usually cost less. And I think that was true when they were built in the 60s and 70s during that A-frame boom, because building code and requirements weren't as robust as they are today.
Really good. Okay. This is how we do it. Oh God!
Up here in northern Michigan, we have roughly 150 inches of snow per year. And with A-frames, the ceilings almost act as a wall. And in order to meet the R value for the amount of insulation we needed on our A-frame here in northern Michigan, that also had to be engineered lumber and a spray foam insulation. So when we started going through this process of having the plans built by an architect, sending them to the builder, having it all quoted out, we got to a point where we were like, holy crap, this is way outside of our initial budget for this build.
But we also had a lot of unique features in this build as well. I mean, it was elevated, and because of that, it added a decent amount of cost. But we were set on that because we wanted to maintain the environment of our land.
There's one other major expense with most new build A-frames: the roof. Most modern A-frames today have what's called a single standing seam roof, which looks beautiful and lasts for nearly a lifetime, but it can also be up to 3 times more expensive than your traditional shingle roof. We were getting quoted from builders minimum $400 per square foot. And just to put some perspective on this, the tower right now that we're building is around 1,500 square feet. Our total lumber package for the tower was under $25,000. The same package for the A-frame was 3 times that. I think it was $78,000 for all of the lumber. $30,000 of that was just all of the LVLs, the engineered lumber, to support the roof and the floor for the insulation and just for the engineering stamp as well. That right there alone really had us go back to the drawing board and rethink this. That looks pretty good. All right, guys, so I want to talk about the second main reason why we are no longer building an A-frame. The second reason why is because of the perceivable boom going on again right now with A-frames on Airbnb. You guys will have to let us know if this is going on in your area too, but I can count probably 5 to 7 A-frames within about a 30 to 40 mile radius of our build location of A-frames that are being built or completely renovated and gutted. And I think if you just go on Airbnb and you go to the A-frame category, you have no trouble finding a shortage of A-frames on the platform these days. And although A-frames have been around for a long time, I think within the last 3 to 4 years, there has been a huge boom in that type of architecture again. And you know, you have companies like Den, like A-Frame, like Everywhere Co. that provide these prefab and kit style A-frames, which I think has led to a little bit of this, but there's also just a lot of people that are building those because they love that type of architecture, us included. And so what I think that ultimately has done is it's making it more difficult to stand out on social media if you are just kind of another A-frame in the pack. And now I think there's a lot of benefits of going the prefab or kit style A-frame home. One, you have usually lower costs because either they're providing the materials or they've created a design that has been vetted by an architect. I do find that some of those websites in their estimates of cost to build, you know, approximations are lower than what they actually are. Obviously, it all depends on your market and area, but you also save on the design fees and the architecture fees, which we'll be making a video on that here very shortly on kind of what we went through with in terms of working with an architect. So while I think those are some, got a neighbor blowing his driveway right now, I feel like I should kind of wait or move. While I think those are some amazing benefits, I do think that there are some shortcomings with that, especially in like with the direction that Airbnb is heading. One, if you build a prefab or kind of just another similar style A-frame to the other ones out there, it's getting harder to stand out on social media, which is really a big piece of some of these properties that are becoming more successful these days. For full transparency, I work in social media at a corporation, and one of the things that's really big across most of the platforms is the click-through rate of a post and the AVD, the average view duration. When there's more competition with a home that looks similar to yours, it's going to be harder for you to stand out and have a higher click-through rate on certain posts and content, meaning that the reach of that post likely will not do as well as something that's completely brand new and unique. So the increase in competition for A-frames ultimately could possibly lead to having to be more creative when it comes to your social media strategy and content just to stand out from the other A-frames around your area. And then the other piece of this too is just the overall UI change on Airbnb announced last year, where they introduced Airbnb categories. And in my opinion, this was a move by Airbnb that really reinforces the idea of them becoming more focused and pushing properties that are focused on experiential design and just overall unique style builds. Shortly after that change, you were seeing a lot of hosts talk about how they were seeing a decline in bookings. And I refer to them kind of as like the mom and pop Airbnbs. You know, they're kind of like the homes on Airbnb that were at one point like a old family cottage that they listed on Airbnb, or just like your normal home that somebody's trying to get a little extra rental income from. And I think those certainly should have a place on Airbnb, but it's those properties that saw the biggest impact from this change. And so when you think about the introduction of Airbnb categories and them pushing more of those unique experience type of stays, along with the increased competition just in that A-frame category, it started making us think that it would be a lot more difficult to stand out on the social media platforms if we built an A-frame. Well, ultimately, we do want to build an A-frame down the road, but we believe that it will have to be, you know, kind of a new fresh take on the A-frame because of all the similar style looking ones going up right now. And so when you consider those things, you know, the direction Airbnb is heading, and then also just the way that social media works with click-through rates, AVD, and trying to stand out, we just kind of got to a point where the cost was definitely the primary factor. But then we were seeing other A-frames going up in our area that made us kind of rethink the whole idea. So I don't know, you guys will have to let us know, are there a bunch of A-frames going up in your area? Do you think it's going to be harder to stand out with an A-frame style build now just because it kind of seems like everyone's doing it? Let us know. But ultimately, we still love A-frames. We still want to build one down the road, but we just have to kind of rethink that, you know, what it would be and how we can make it different than anything else out there right now. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, you are awesome, and we will see you in the next one somewhere north of nowhere. Hey puppies. Hi. Oh, what the? Oh my God. Hi. Okay, get down. Get down.